Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler. That guy down there is Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter and Instagram semi-fame. He's racking up those.
I have no Instagram followers.
Yeah, what? I think I followed you on Instagram. I don't know. But the point is, Chris, congratulations on all of the YouTube followers. That number feels like it's been going up and up and up and up pretty rapidly during the pandemic.
Yeah, I suck at Twitter for some reason. Like I can't get that many followers. Not that I try, I don't care.
Hot take is that my hot take is that Twitter is on the, like, it's past its peak. It is on its downhill, I think. Facebook and Instagram, they're just too powerful. Twitter doesn't have anything on it, but that's just my hot take. But in the meantime, yeah, I noticed it like 3.5K or something now. It's going up very quickly. Yeah. And so we're gonna try to use this timely video. It's not really timely. This is our fake Father's Day video, Chris. We're gonna do our rankings of the best Avatar dads because Father's Day was just a few days ago. It'll be like 5 days ago because we didn't think of it sooner. We're busy. We had other ideas. I'm not a father. Chris is a father of 3. I don't know why I'm saying that other than for unnecessary context. But I'm excited to rank the best Avatar dads, and it's kind of fun to do these episodes that get into the Korra scope as well. I think that's pretty exciting. So I don't have anything else fancy lined up other than just gonna rank dads just like we rank episodes. Happy Father's Day to all fathers and father figures. That's important to the context of how we rank things as well. If you have a father figure or are a father figure, happy Father's Day to you as well. Anything else you want to note before you get started?
Well, to me, that context is important. You know, I think it's important to just think about what makes a good father. You know, to me, a good father is someone who teaches their children, you know, right from wrong, how to be good human beings, who cares for them, who loves them, all those things. And that's kind of what I'm gonna be having in mind with my rankings.
I tried to think about, you know how when you have your first kid, like your oldest kid, and then like a few kids later, and there's always all these jokes about like, well, by the time they got to that one, they didn't care and they got off so easy or whatever. It's like, I think I tried to lead more towards like the first time father, like you're learning how to be a dad, just how that kid is learning to be a kid. So like I expect some mistakes. I want to see some.
I made 0 mistakes with my first time.
And what parent doesn't? Like you're the parent, but it's also at that point it is literally your first time of raising a human. So I tried to think in that mode of like I want to see some mistakes, but then I want to see like some redemption, some forgiveness, growth from that as a father, and that played in really hard to my rankings. So yeah, good dad, but also with like some forgiveness for the challenges of fatherhood in and of itself. I try to be forgiving. We'll see how that panned out. It is worth noting.
Maybe because I'm a great father, right? So I hold a high standard.
My kids don't have to forgive me because I don't mess up ever.
I mean, honestly, like I don't brag a lot about stuff. I'm like, man, being a father is great. Like, I feel like I'm a great father. If God put me on this earth to do anything, to do nothing but be a father, I'd be like, all right, cool, God, I'll go do that.
You don't have to brag. I'll vouch for that. I don't get to see you interact with your kids a ton, but every time I do, that it is a tremendous relationship you have with your children. And that's probably, from an outside perspective, as much as I could possibly go on. Yeah. So I'll brag for you. Someday I hope to be a father. And when the time comes, I'm sure I'll be a horrible parent at first, but I will try really hard to get better. I will try my best. And that's the kind of mode I was thinking in when I was ranking these dads here. I do have to note, just like full disclosure, way less experience with the Korra dads. So I just did my research, like Genera, what's that, the Avatar Wiki, just generic research because I didn't want to re-spoil anything for myself. And then at the end, when there were tiebreakers, I defaulted to your rankings rather than noting a tiebreaker. I defaulted to which one you had higher. So minor notes, didn't impact a whole lot, but definitely less experienced in that realm. Ready to go?
I'm ready. All right.
Got 17 of these. I kind of forget who I put started first. Oh, I started with you. You're number 17, Dad.
Yeah. So when Zuko says that his father grew up to be the worst father of all fathers, I think he was absolutely correct in that assessment. Ozai is not only a terrible human being, but he's a terrible father. And he's a terrible father to Azula because he doesn't show love. He doesn't teach her right from wrong. He just incorporates his own terrible things into Azula. All right, as a father, you're supposed to kind of feel like make your kids better than you, and he doesn't do that. And then you think about Zuko. Not only does he not do that, but he physically abuses Zuko, burns him, scars him for life. He banishes him, so that's neglect there. And he also doesn't teach him right from wrong. Also, in the search, he was he told Ursa that he was like, I'm gonna treat Zuko like crap, even though I know he's my son. I'm gonna treat him like complete crap just to rub it in your face. And then when he went to his own father to ask to strip Iroh of his birthright, and his father's like, you gotta learn that Iroh already lost a son, you gotta learn how that feels, so you go kill your son. He was like, all right, I'll go kill him. He's gonna kill his own son. So yeah, without doubt, Ozai is the worst father to me.
I don't know how you disagree with that. He was already, we've been talking about how I'm a couple comics in. It's like at the end of the show, he's already the worst dad of all time, and it just gets even more messed up in the comic books. So no question, what you said. Don't be like Ozai. That's not even a low bar for a dad. That's the exact opposite end of the possible spectrum, with the low bar being in the middle. Don't be like Ozai. Number 16, AZULON, because it runs in the family. The only thing that I will say for AZULON is that it's not even a thing, but at least like he was sticking to tradition, and Iroh would have become the heir to the throne, and like I don't know that it's a good thing so much as it was the only thing that made him slightly better than Ozai, as he didn't seem like he was willing to murder his own family members for but maybe he was. I mean, him and Roku, obviously, not a good time, but that's not a dad thing, that's a bad person thing. Friends,
well, that
family.
That was Sozum.
Or Sozum. Oh, you're right, I'm being stupid. But I don't know what else to say about AZULON. We don't have a ton of context to work off of, other than he was obviously very traditional, and we have no note that he was going to kill any of his family members on purpose.
Number 16 for me is UNALA. UNALA is, he's a book 2 villain from Legend of Korra. The reason why I have him at number 16 is that his plan was to become the Dark Avatar and fuse with Vaatu, become the Dark Avatar, and enter in a new era of darkness and chaos. That would not have been good for his kids. And when he was trying to get into the spirit world, there's a scene there where like him and Eska and Desna are trying to waterbend in there, but like something attacks Eska. Wait, or Desna.
One or the other.
Eska. Desna is the boy, I'm pretty sure. And he attacks Desna. And it attacks Desna, and he's not worried or concerned about him at all. He's like, no, keep attacking it. And so, to me, he just completely neglects his children. And so, yeah, he is number 16. Number 15 is funny because I haven't gotten to ZULON yet. Number 15 is YAKONE.
Yeah, you got a lot of respect for that guy.
No one say respect. YAKONE to me is really terrible because he just took his hatred and he took his hatred and his failures, which was a result of his hatred and his crimes and stuff. He just shoved that down to his kids, and his kids had to deal with that, and they were not well adjusted. They both became super villains of the highest caliber bloodbenders. I mean, he was such a terrible father. His own son bloodbended him and hurt him.
See, I totally forgot that element.
Yeah.
That would have. Yeah. Well, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, that's fine. But yes, and to me, he looked at his kids only as products of his revenge and not kids, not like loving and everything. So to me, he had no respect for them, just looked at them as tools. So he is number 15.
Same what you said. I didn't know how to pick between him and AZULON, and I thought, well, at least he gave his kids some unique skills. Like, I don't know, I don't know what else do you pick for them. I would say at a bare minimum,
he is the, you know, he might be the Joseph Jackson of the Jackson 5, right? Like, you kids are gonna do this and become famous, and I'm gonna make sure you do.
There's a Daniel Tosh joke that's probably a hair more inappropriate than I would want to quote on here, but yeah, something like that.
I know it. You telling me?
You gotta, what is it? Beat them enough so they're talented, but not. It's horrible, you know. But it's a
horrible joke.
But I agree entirely. I literally the only decision point I had to go off of was like, you know what? It's probably much harder to raise your kids when you're in YAKONE's situation than you are in AZULON's situation. But they're both crappy humans. We're talking about the bottom of the barrel here, so who cares? I was a little more respectful of UNALA because it seemed like he had some kind of relationship with his kids.
Yeah.
Not maybe a great one, but there was a certain amount of cordial respect in between them there. So that's why I was more forgiving of UNALA.
Yeah, so for me, I have AZULON at number 14. And the reason why I ranked him lower or higher than the rest is that he did seem to have some type of admiration. Like you say, he has some type of sense of honor for his kids. Like, he seemed to really love Iroh. And, you know, when Ozai goes to him, was like, strip him of his birthright, make me your heir. I have kids. And he seemed to be really, I wouldn't say hurt, really disappointed in Ozai for even thinking that way about his son. He's like, you dare want me to strip my own son, my own firstborn son, of his titles after he lost his own first son? Like, there's a sort of sense of at least honor, I wouldn't say love there. Granted, he did tell Ozai to kill his son.
Respect, I guess.
Yeah. But this is he did order ZUKO killed, but this isn't a granddad's list. This is a father's list.
Raise your kids, spoil your grandkids. Spoil your kids, kill your grandkids.
Yeah.
I think that's the rule. That's the only thing in my head with AZULON and YAKONE that I'm just now thinking of was, well, they raised the worst children. Yeah. So maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, okay, so number 13 is Hiroshi Sato, who is Asami's dad. He, you know, did the same thing. Same thing as kind of YAKONE. He passed down this hatred. He tried to pass down this hatred onto his daughter, so much to the point that he was like, join me, like, we will, you know, did that evil thing, like, join me, we will.
I thought you were going to do the rule of the universe, his father and son, his daughter. Yeah. And father-daughter. Yeah, that doesn't ring as well. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. And I remember a scene where Bolin is like, Mr. Sato, you're the worst father there is. And he's like earthbending at him. And then Asami's like, you are the worst dad. And like, she just looks at him. He does learn from his mistake though. Him and Asami were able to kind of reconcile. And it is now I think about it, I kind of maybe want to rank him higher, but yeah, he at least learned from his ways.
I did Ukano. I forgot the parenthesis on the other end there. MAI'S dad. The weird thing in the wiki was that we don't get a lot of exposure to this dude, but the weird thing in the wiki is like he's actually a loving father, and then it like contradicted directly with the fact that he was like essentially weak and cowardly and just did political safe things, and then it like didn't give any examples. It's like, I'm not going to take the wiki's word of just saying he's a loving dad and have zero examples just because he has 2 kids. Like, that was dumb to me. So I probably let that impact my decision too much the other direction. But I had like no positive things to share. I only had like MAI'S negative family experiences to go off of. So obviously he wasn't as horrible as those other people, but I couldn't find any redeeming qualities about him necessarily, other than that the wiki's like he's a loving father. But where did that come from? It didn't give any rationale or citation or anything. So
yeah, I think now I think about it. I mean, in the comic books,
does he come back in the comics? I didn't.
Yeah, he does. And he plays a somewhat big role, but I think he actually has his own son. He fakes a kidnapping of his own son. So he did the whole Man on Fire thing. You remember Man on Fire with Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
I forget his name. Who married Jennifer Lopez? Had his own daughter kidnapped so he can get he had insurance, had a ransom insurance, so he get the ransom insurance money.
And he did that to Tom Tom?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the baby's name that...
Yep. Tom Tom.
Yeah.
But at least he was willing to trade King Boomy for Tom Tom, right? He was willing to trade a powerful king for his son at that time.
That is a fair positive that I did not consider. So, yeah, but hindsight, 2020. I'm sure you'll rank him higher and it'll balance out.
Yeah. He might be right. Oh, wait, this is yours. Yeah.
Yeah. I got Lau, Toph's dad, and I think this is the part where we start getting to what I would consider bad dads with decent redemption arcs, for me, at least. Obviously, Lau cares about his daughter, makes some bad decisions, but he does come around in the post-ATLA universe and has some redeeming qualities as well. Like I said, he's at least starting from a baseline of caring, just not being a very good dad about it. But it's not a place of hate or anything like that. So, little credit.
Oh, man, I forgot to lead into this.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry. You didn't see that. Nobody saw that. Audio-only people haven't heard it yet. Go ahead. Give your lead in. Sorry,
my number 12. That's okay. My number 12. I know this is surprising. It's controversial. Probably one of the most controversial opinions that I've had about Avatar. But I think if you really pay attention to Avatar, you would agree with this. Well, maybe not agree. You'll at least see my point of view on this. You don't have to agree with me. It's fine. This character is my favorite character from Avatar: The Last Airbender. But part of his story and his journey is that he wasn't always great. And that's important to note here. So my number 12 is Iroh. I know, I'm sorry, please don't turn off the podcast. Please continue listening.
Oh, there goes our 5 viewers.
Yeah. But I have Iroh ranked number 12, which is really, really low, right? He's in the bottom third of fathers of the show. Now, what I said before, one of the most important things about being a father is teaching your children right from wrong, instilling in them a sense of morality. Iroh instilled into his son Lu Ten the same things that his fathers instilled into him about the Fire Nation greatness and how he shall rule everything. And that got his son killed. I know some people are like, well, he didn't get his son killed. Well, you know, his son idolized Iroh. We assume he idolized Iroh. So why would you not want to be like your dad? And be like, yeah, I'm going to sign up for the war and I'm going to fight in the war. In fact, Dad, I'm going to fight with you. I'm going to fight in that same siege that you're leading. You're the general of. You know, and that's more Iroh reinforcing this stupid idea that the Fire Nation should rule everything. And he ended up dying in that war. Iroh is directly responsible for that. It would be like, say if a member of the KKK was raising his son, like, hey son, white people were the we're the greatest race there is, and then they end up committing some type of hate crime together, and then in someone's self-defense, his son ends up dead, right? Who's to blame there? The father is to blame there for instilling these ideas into this child's head that he grows up to be this way.
Solid, accurate example. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially what...
Yeah, there was no... Like, oftentimes people like to gloss over that Iroh was a war criminal. I mean, and people like to debate over, oh, is he a war criminal or no, he was just in war. To me, none of that matters. He fought in a war for no good reason. It's not like this war was like,
There's not a
oh, hey,
justified war from the Fire Nation's
yeah,
perspective.
exactly, yeah.
They might think it was, but
It's not like saying in the Dragon Prince, right? To me, the war between Zadia and the humans is like, well, they did this thing, they did this thing. Like, there's no right or wrong side. But here, Fire Nation's completely in the wrong. They just was like, we should rule everything. Let's attack. And Iroh went along with that. To me, if you don't necessarily agree with me that he is like a terrible father, but you have to see that he was a terrible person before. I mean, in interviews, Brian Canisco and Michael DiMartino's like, yeah, those days before Iroh was really interesting. How did this ruthless general go from being the Dragon of the West to this tea-loving uncle, fuddy-duddy uncle that we see? Like, he was really great at war, and he passed that down to his son, and his son died because of it. Granted, he had a redemption arc, and he's a father to Zuko, and he's a great
just knowing that by process of elimination that I've got him higher. Do you mind if we wait and talk redemption for that for
sure.
my spot? Like just
sure.
knowing that he has to be higher than yours based on where we're at.
Yeah.
Because I think definitely got to talk redemption.
Yeah. If it was for that, Iroh might be he wouldn't be below Ozai still. He would still be slightly ranked higher than Ozai, I think.
There's a good conversation to be had, though, of like what's worse. Like, essentially, let's pretend that Ozai, not pretend, because he had the capacity to have killed his own child. Like, no question, could have easily just killed Zuko, and that could have been in the story and been in character. So it's like, all right, well, what's worse? Directly killing your son or raising a bad son who does other awful things and then also dies because of that? Like, it's a good conversation to be had in there, I think. A little too depressing for me to have, I think, but it's a good conversation in there.
Yeah, so guys, please continue listening. But yeah, I have Iroh ranked number 12 on the list of dads.
And think about how you raise your children, for heaven's sake. Think about what you're teaching them.
All right, number 11 is Mei's dad, which, kind of all the same reasons you said, Shawn. And I mentioned before him getting his son, faking his son's kidnapping, and and again, he's not teaching his kids, also right from wrong, but his has much less consequences to it.
Very politically correct, and that's probably a little too harsh on him, but we're to a place where it's pretty negligible, the differences between these guys. I liked Hiroshi Sato a little better than these other characters just because his redemption process and when he actually does contribute to the cause later on is very useful, and kind of gives you, I guess, hope for his going forward relationship. Maybe there's something there, or even it wouldn't have to repair their relationship for him to still be improving as a father. Like, maybe they never get along great, but he can still be improving and getting better every day. So I just valued his redemption story a little higher. And ARNOOK, I don't know how to say that.
That's his name.
Yeah, I had to search pretty hard. I didn't know what it was off the top of my head either. Somewhere in that camp of hyper political before being a father, still kind of in that same group. We don't have a ton of interaction with him to like have super redeeming qualities, but I think what little interaction we do see is like, even though he's politics first, father second, is that he still seems like he cares about his daughter, and he treats his larger political group, his larger region. He has an essence of that those people are sort of family too, and he just a very deeply caring person in that sense. So I probably, what do I want to call it? Like, superimposed his behaviors too heavily, but I don't have much reason to not. What do I say? I don't have too much reason to hate him based on what we have to go on. I think he cares about UA and makes some political choices. Yeah. So,
my number 10 is Lau, Toph's dad. And to me, my list is starting to get into dads who are well-intentioned but necessarily aren't doing the best things. right? He cares about Toph. He just doesn't communicate with her. He doesn't allow her to be herself. And then he actually, maybe I should rank him lower than Toph. No, he's fine where he's ranked. In comic books, he sort of disowns Toph, but he does. They reconcile in the comics, and they come to a really good understanding. So much so that they kind of become like, I wouldn't say business partners, but she is. Yeah, maybe they do kind of become business partners. But yeah, early on, Toph's dad wasn't supportive. He wasn't a good dad. But he still cared about her. So he's ranked. He cracked the top 10.
I was happy with where I ranked him, but I think you're right to say this. We're into a section now where it's not bad intentions, just bad means maybe.
Number 9, the Mechanist, and no one knows what his name is.
I tried really hard to find out. I got nothing. Teo is the kid, the paraplegic child in the driving flying machine made by his father, the Mechanist.
Yeah, he's a really loving dad, and to me, he is just trying to make the best of a bad situation. So I don't blame him for lying to his son that, oh, I'm making weapons for the Fire Nation. It's fairly acceptable. It's just you're still lying to your kid. He thinks you're something other than you are.
I went with Aang here. I'm not high on Aang as a dad. I think that his kids do a really nice job of accepting his flaws, but I have a feeling that's mostly due to an understanding of A, what his business as the Avatar was, and B, Katara probably helped quite a bit as well. But not big on Aang. I feel like his values, his interpersonal values, should have translated into him being a better dad. But there's not a lot of good evidence that he actively worked to build good relationships with his kids. This could be a case where I'm overlooking certain information, or I don't have all the recollection that I should.
To me, I'm not going to get too deep into it, 'cause I'll talk about it later, but I kind of theorized that one of the reasons why he's not necessarily the best dad is that he didn't have that dad mentality. He didn't see what a dad's supposed to do, right? Air nomads don't become dads. They just become really mentors or just caregivers. Gyatso was more of a father figure than I think he even needed to be. So Aang didn't know what dad.
Yeah, that might not have even been the norm necessarily. Gyatso and Aang. Yeah. That might not have been the norm. That might have been a great relationship.
Yeah. And so, and I'm not saying you should rank him any lower because of that. It's just,
couldn't find a bunch of negatives. It's just one of those things where it's like you're disappointed. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed kind of thing in Aang. You don't have a lot of positive kid stories to tell. So I probably a little too harsh, but we're in kind of a log jam in the middle part here, so I'm not too sad about it.
Yeah.
My Mechanist placing was right here. Same rationale, and his is tough because he's even doing bad things to protect his family. So again, it sets a bad precedent. Bad means don't justify the good intentions. But he's fully aware, and he's trying to do what he can to take care of his son. And so even if it's not great fatherhood, it's pretty admirable notion. So, I get it. You're in a tough spot, dude.
Yeah, my number 8 is ARNOOK, which is YUE'S dad. To me, he seems like a very loving father. You think about what he had to go through when YUE wasn't like alive when she was born. I mean, I don't know how terrible that must have been. So he must have a lot of love for it. Like he said, he prayed day and night to the ocean and moon spirit to save his daughter.
I kind of forgot about that bit.
He does. I think he does put duty over family. He passed it down to Yue, and he married Yue off to whatever his name is, and Yue is like, I have a duty, like I can't think about these things. But to me, the only thing that puts him down further on this list is because he was willing to just marry his daughter out. And granted, some cultures are like that, But I think you should let your let your kids decide their future, be more hands-on.
It's fair to say that like he was probably a great chief.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I just want to mention the he at the end of that episode, and it's him and Sokka kind of having this one-on-one. Like they both lost Yue, and it's very special to them both. You know, he says like, when Yue was born, I had a vision that she became the moon. And then Sokka says, "You must be really proud." And he's like, "Very proud and very sad." Like, that's such a good line. So freaking good.
Hit me right in the feels.
My number 7 is Aang. So, to me, Aang gets a bad rap as a father. And I think the issue is that he wasn't the greatest father. One thing I love that I won't say I love that he wasn't the greatest father, but
Way to be a piece of shit, Aang. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
No, I just love the way that Legend of Korra handled a lot of the characters.
It does make them feel very real.
Yeah. And it makes sense, right? So Kaya and Bumi feels like Aang really only focused on Tenzin, and part of that's his avatar duty. He had to have the air nomads continue, so he had to put more into Tenzin. But I think part of this is that we're seeing this from the perspective of Bumi and Kaya, and they might be biased because kids are often biased. I know that with my own family. Like my dad,
I'm biased. Yeah, I know who falls where.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. It's because I'm pretty sure I'm the favorite, but I'm only saying that here because my family won't ever listen to this.
Yeah, I think my dad showed more attention to my second or third oldest sister, probably because she needed more attention. It wasn't that much. My dad's a great dad. And some would say, my sister say, like, my mom spoiled me. And so I think part of that, you got to think about what is the perspective that we're looking at from. On the flip side of that, Aang, so Kaya is gay and or lesbian, however you want to say. It's important. She's lesbian. Or, yeah, she's not.
Do we know that she's not bisexual?
She's only mentioned that she's lesbian.
She is not heterosexual. There we go.
No.
Cover all our bases.
But, she was talking about when she, was coming out and everything, like the Water Tribe have like their cultures and everything kind of sucking it. And she talked about how she came out to Aang, and Aang was like more than supportive of her. And so to me, that puts another, feather in Aang's cap of being a good father, being supportive of 3 kids.
I said I was the favorite. I'm now rethinking that. Like, I don't think I was the favorite as much as I was the most different. So it felt like I got the most attention paid to me in those respects. Like my parents had to do things for me that they didn't have to do for the other kids. But I'm also the second youngest of 5, so we're getting to that, like, parents are older, doing it differently than they used to and all that stuff. And so in Aang's case, I thought you had him higher than that in hindsight, but it was really like 9 to 7, so we're not too far off. But yeah, worth pointing out the good qualities as well. I'm sure he was a very open and sort of forthright father. Yeah, he could use a little more like examples, like built-in examples into the content. So here I've got TONRA, who is Korra's father. This is a tough one for me because I don't have a lot of information. I almost strictly, I had nothing from memory, basically strictly what I had in the wiki. It seems like the relationship was good-ish. Strained as any parent who had an avatar as a child might be. But it's basically right in the middle because I couldn't decide what to do with him too much. I didn't have any serious qualms or serious pluses to offer. Sorry, I don't have much interest. I'm assuming you'll have more interesting things to say when it comes up on yours.
So it is coming right up on mine.
But I'll go first here. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Go.
I forgot we serpentine here too. I put Iroh higher. Everything you said, totally valid. Not just it's not just something you gloss over. And I would say the same, like when we argue about Avatar 1, it's like I'm not willing to gloss over this one really big, awful, horrible thing he did just because, you know, he turned a corner and had well-meaning and stuff. But with Iroh, assuming that we are counting father figure
Yes,
and giving that bonus points for Zuko, but he went from having one child die, and the analogy you gave earlier was perfect, to he saved Zuko's life and made Zuko into a high-ranking father in this list too by passing those things on. So I don't know how those weigh out. It's kind of in the middle. That's why I'm not going to put him all super duper high. But I am willing to forgive because he did literally everything within his power to erase that, and not just neglect it or not just let it go, but he tried to erase it and create positive out of it. He raised a great dad, and that meant a lot to me. In a tough case too, like raised a great dad out of a lost cause, essentially. So I gave him a little extra boost.
Hey, a lot of people, put him down as his best dad. I think me putting him low is controversial because there's a fan artist who did this amazing work. I love her art. I featured some of it with her permission in my Korra, in my Avatar LGBTQ, because she does some amazing Korrasami art. But she she did this great picture of Iroh and like all the Team Avatar hugging him and stuff, and saying like best dad ever. And then I wrote like, well, he got his son killed, and then I said great art as always, but he got his son killed. And then like I probably got like 10 likes on that, but then below that was a counterpoint to my point, which got like 800, or I don't know, I forget how many likes. Dramatically a lot more likes.
Well, and people, I mean, it's a sort of content proximity. We only get hammered over the head with the good parts of Iroh, and I'm not willing to look past that. But I'm still, I'm totally happy with number 6. We have to atone for our mistakes, and I don't think anybody tried harder to do that than Iroh. So I'm happy right where he's at. He's not a top 5 dad, but he's close.
In Iroh's defense, he gives the best wisdom.
If we go whole series, not just within the show, but his character arc across whole Avatar universe, that would be a great discussion topic someday.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm detracting from your pick here.
My number 6 pick is TONRA. I love his relationship with Korra. I think he definitely loves Korra a great deal. I remember that scene in book 3 finale. I feel like I'm about to ruin stuff for you, because you're going to rewatch it. You only watch.
Just wave your hands when you're done. I'll just.
Okay. When Korra is killed and paralyzed. I'm sorry, I'm talking crazy here. When Korra is paralyzed and she's about to die, and he's like, Korra, sweetheart, look at me, come on. And she finally comes to, and he like just the way he's holding her in his arms is such a good father-daughter relationship. But on the bad side of him is that he did confine Korra to, he didn't let her out, right? Korra is 17 when the series starts. Adulthood in Avatar is pretty much 16, maybe even 15, because I think that's marrying age. And like him and the White Lotus was like, no, Korra has to be locked up. And granted, it's a good reason, because Korra was kidnapped, and so he feels very protective of her. But still, he didn't let her be what she could be. Like imagine like training, getting your daughter the greatest training all day long. Like Korra's an athlete, right? Like imagine getting all this training, then being like, but you can't go to the NBA draft. Nope, you can't do it. You can't go to the NBA.
It's for backyard use only.
Yeah. But he's still a great dad, so got him at number 6.
I was the most embarrassed about my lack of like memory for anything about him in particular. This literal wiki opinion, and I didn't even read the whole wiki on these because I didn't want to spoil myself. I read the top paragraph summary, worked off memory from there.
At number 5 is TYRO, HARU'S dad. Really, it's just he just did. There's no faults here, right? He was a good dad. He loved his son, and that's what got him number 5. There's just really not that many things to say that he was like bad at or anything.
What little we got was great. He's not just great, like he's badass. He's in a stressful situation, and through all that, he still seems like he's got a great relationship. So yeah. What we got was all good, even if it wasn't a ton. So here's where we start to shake some things up a little bit. I had HAKODA ranked a smidge lower. It's not really his own doing, but it's not like he was around a whole lot through their formative years to even be a good dad. And so it feels kind of wrong to hold that against him because he was, doing his sort of civic duties. But I've kind of held it against other characters for sort of putting duty before fatherhood, even if that means doesn't mean they're bad fathers. But I've held it against other characters, so I felt like I had to hold it against HAKODA. But like he wasn't there during their formative years. Their mother died, and Katara and Sokka raised each other. Well, Gran was there, but it's not a grandma's episode. So yeah, I held that against HAKODA a little bit, but we're still in the top 4 dads. Like this is not a slouch. It just, of what's left, I wasn't quite as big on HAKODA.
Yeah. My number 4 is ZUKO. I think there's not as much to go on because in Legend of Korra wise, he just said a couple times like I gotta go protect my daughter from the Red Lotus because she's the Fire Lord and they've been trying to kill the head of states. So it's just really that he showed kind of an outgoing concern for his daughter, which is what got him to number 4 for me. And number 3 is Monk GYATSO, who was the father figure to AANG. So he loved AANG so much. He was willing to. I'm really curious what would happen if AANG didn't run away, because he said to AANG like, "I'm not going to let them take you away from me, AANG." Like, I wonder what his plan was. To me, he gave AANG exactly what he needed, that love. And to me, he went above and beyond, right? Because he didn't. To me, those are caretakers. You don't have to be a really good father. You just like, hey, go do this and this. But he gave AANG so much more, taught him a lot of lessons. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me. AANG doesn't really. To me, AANG doesn't think. You never see AANG really talk to him like a father. I think he does say he was like a father to me, or maybe does he say that?
I think he says it, but he doesn't always treat or like they don't interact in that way. But like you and I said on a chat earlier, the nuclear idea of the family doesn't exist, so like they don't have to interact that way. We don't have to hold them to that standard. But he doesn't talk like you and I probably talk to our dads with him. But he does say he was like a father to me, I believe.
Time to teach you about the birds and the butterfly bees.
That's the talk I got, right? Is that what you... Just kidding. I went to Catholic school. I had a weird video. Do not recommend.
Yeah. You're number 3.
ZUKO didn't have a ton to go off of, but what little we get is really good, above and beyond kind of good. And then I'm probably superimposing or supposing too much here, but I'd really like to think that he took a lot of the good from Iroh and passed that on in his own fatherhood, that he is the better father version of Iroh in his own life as a whole. And that's probably too high of a standard and making too much presumption, but what little we get doesn't dispute it in any way. So I was pretty high on ZUKO as dad. GYATSO is my number 2. He essentially like risking his sort of status among the air nomads, putting all that on the line for AANG, raising a kid who is the Avatar that's got its own struggles, and again not having any obligation to have done any of this. He could have just as easily been another citizen and had a normal relationship, and it would have been fine. I think we mentioned earlier that would not have been out of the ordinary, probably. That their relationship that they do have is kind of out of the ordinary. Really high on GYATSO. Only good things to say there. You'd like your children not to run away and disappear for 100 years, but things happen.
Teach your kids not to run away.
You would like for your kids not to do that, but it's a different situation with the Avatar. So I'm giving Gyatso lots of bonus points for going well above and beyond by accepting that role in the first place.
My number 2 is Tenzin, which is it's funny, Tenzin Gyatso. That's the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, I kind of like that.
Tenzin is to me, he's such an amazing father. That he's definitely attentive to all of them, and to me, he does what good fathers do, is that he kind of customizes his approach to them differently. Oh man, I just love his relationship with Jinora. Even like he has to accept that like Jinora is more spiritual and tuned than he is, and when he believes in her enough to give her the airbending tattoos, and it's like she will be the next airbender to lead us in the next generation. That takes a lot to humble yourself and to say that about your kids. I don't think I have really any negatives against Tenzin here. He's great. And my number 1 is HAKODA. You make a good point about duty, but to me, there's the reason that you're going out and doing this duty, right? With YUE'S dad, his reasoning, it kind of conflicted with YUE'S best well-being. It conflicted with allowing her to be the person she wants to be, loving who she wants to love. With HAKODA here, the reasoning for his duty is like, I have to protect my children. I have to go out and fight this war. And I think maybe I'm a little bit biased because he delivers this scene with Katara, which is such a well voice acted scene between, I don't know who voices
puts me in tears when I think about it.
Where she's just like, Aang runs away and she's like, he doesn't have to run away. Does he know he could be here with us? And he's like, maybe that's his way of showing he's strong. He's like, no, it's not strong. It's stupid. It's foolish. Like, he could be here with us. Like, we could help him and everything. And then but he left us. And then he's like, you're not talking about Aang, are you? And then she breaks down. It's like, Dad, like, you left us. I know we had Gram and everything. And then he says something to her that, to me, it's the best line delivery for a dad. It's like, you and your brother are like on our world. Like, at night, like I would stay up at night. I would miss you guys so much that it would ache. Like, that's some deep fatherly stuff that way. Like, I know that type of love. Like, that love of a father of seeing his children, knowing that you have to leave them. That stuff hurts. Like, to me, that's just like the most grandest show of love I think I've seen from a father. And also the end there where he's like, he tells them how proud he is of them. But yeah, great job for me for HAKODA. Even though he does have to leave them with their mother or their grandmother. Sorry.
I don't think it would be possible to find a more touching father-children relationship by any. I think takes that cake for sure. So no disrespect for the top ranking for HAKODA. Also a pretty good Nonbender if you want to go check out that bracket. My number 1, if you're keeping score, is Tenzin, and I've just always been impressed with his ability to like navigate his children through essentially the most tumultuous time in all of history, and he has a big role outside of being a father. In my head, he's doing what Aang didn't seem to do very well. You mentioned kind of catering to his children, but also accepting this other larger role where he himself isn't the Avatar, but obviously he has a very big direct impact and a big role in how the Avatar works. He's trying to rebuild the entire air nomad society. Like, he has so many things going on, but he seems to navigate them all very well, which is something that we don't necessarily see from Aang, for example. So it's another situation of where I thought, what am I trying to get at here? Like ZUKO getting sort of the good out of Iroh, and Tenzin sort of getting the better parts of Aang as a father and taking it a step further and being a really good dad in a crazy situation. So tons of respect for Tenzin. Had a wild job. And that's it. That's our number ones. I do have aggregates, which, again, we have a lot of...
This is the definitive ranking here.
The definitive, yeah. 17, Ozai. That was easy. 16, UNALA, and 15, YAKONE in AZULON. That was like a 3-way tie or something like that. But again, all bad. Don't be like any of those guys. 13, Hiroshi Sato. That's Asami's dad. 12, Yukano. 11, Lao. 10, Iroh. So he came out at 10 because of a tiebreaker. It was tiebreaker at 9 and 10. So ARNOOK 9. The MECHANIST 8, AANG 7. 6, Tonrak. Yeah. 5, TYRO. He's the dark horse here, isn't he? Who would have expected? Number 4, ZUKO. 3, GYATSO. 2, HAKODA. And number 1, Tenzin. So, yeah, pretty... we weren't too horribly far off. Iroh is probably the biggest individual difference.
I was at 12. You were at 6. Wait, were you at 6?
But even at 6, 7, you're still looking at those like good intentions with bad means or whatever. Like all the 6 to 12, like that was all kind of a logjam in its own right of a similar-ish problematic something or other with each one. So it seems big, but in reality, it's probably not that big. And that's it. Definitive Best Avatar Dads list in honor of Happy Father's Day. And sorry, we didn't do it last week. I don't even remember what we did last week. I'm sure it was fine, but gotta plan ahead for these holidays.
Oh, we did Best Book 3 episodes.
Yeah. You know what? The character design will be sort of a 4th of July episode, and that doesn't fit either. So we gotta, I'm not really... This sounds bad. I'm not really in a mood for like a patriotic video anyway, so maybe that's okay. But anyway, happy belated Father's Day, Chris. Happy belated Father's Day to you as well.
Well, thank you.
I hope you guys all had a tremendous Father's Day and 4th of July coming up. And look for that episode. This episode was great, but also look next week's episode. We had a lot of fun making that just a few hours ago, so I hope you check that out as well.
I have a guest.
Had a guest, the guest, yeah, one of 2 guests.
We're gonna have more guests in the future.
Yeah, I've got an idea or two, and I think you've got another idea or two, and it's always a lot of fun to get one more voice on rather than just our little echo chamber here. So, yeah, I'm Shawn. That's Chris. Catch us on Last_Podcasters on social media, and don't forget to check out all of Chris's other YouTube videos, as mentioned before. It seems like he's got 30 or 40 more followers every single day, which is awesome. And that's all I got to say. Take care. Have a great evening.
Yeah, now... Oh.
Every time, Chris. It's too late. Not recording over it. Bye, everybody.
Now.
It actually turned out pretty well. Bye.